Hello and welcome to the first episode of a new series titled Please Welcome. You guys make me laugh. I can't.
Well, you're up here singing
Sit
here, man.
Okay. You can let go, Swanson. Today I'm joined by Chris Garritano and Dawn Swanson. A little bit about the both of them. Dawn is an award-winning filmmaker who just finished his first feature-length film, A Wish for Giants, which premieres this Saturday, February 17th, 2018 at the KCAC at IUP. Dawn is also an alumni from IUP who now teaches in the Armstrong School District. He teaches 12th grade English and communications media electives. Chris is also an IUP alumni who teaches in the Armstrong School District. Chris not only watches over and manages the TV studio here, but he manages the video equipment too. He's also the webmaster at ASD, and he teaches and trains other educators in many of technology. So how's that? That is an introduction.
That is an introduction. We have been introduced now.
Yeah, the 5th time, and I still stumbled over it, but it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. So, for the first question, just as a little bit of an icebreaker, yesterday was Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yep.
And February 14th. Yeah, it's a good Wednesday. I have a story of my own, but what did you guys do yesterday, if you did anything?
Well, I woke up. I came to work. I remembered it was Valentine's Day. I had to stop for an interview, actually, for Wish for Giants for the student newspaper at IUP yesterday.
Oh, geez.
And so I put little Wish for Giants things all over campus. Then I went to Taco Bell. Ooh. And then I went and got my wife a card and Snickers to put in the freezer. And then I met my wife and my daughter at my son's basketball game. And then I did mundane dad stuff. Yeah. And then I gave my wife her card and Snickers, only to find out she didn't give me anything.
Wow, Megan's dropping the ball.
See, this is why we just nipped it in the bud. We said this year, we're not doing anything.
We usually don't, but I felt like I had to make up for being busy.
Well, you know, you have been out a lot. I mean, my Valentine's Day consisted of officiating a basketball game last night.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Did they win?
In Harmony.
One
of the teams. One of the teams I officiated won.
They win.
You're not the Patriots.
The basketball won.
Believe it or not, one loss.
Yeah, you're not the Patriots referees. You don't favor a team.
I'm going to say the team that scores the most hoops here is going to win this basketball match.
That's pretty much how it worked. That's great analysis, Cotton.
So how much did you make under the table, though?
Oh, you know, that's between me and the Harmony Owls. No. No, so I officiated, and I helped my 3-year-old make a card for my wife, and that was about the extent of it. Wow.
So, as for me, I beat up the elderly yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, he trumped us.
Yes.
No, as a real quick backstory, my brother comes into my room the day before, because, you know, Brady, he lacks common sense, and he doesn't, like, order his stuff beforehand. Mm-hmm. So he's like, no, will you do me a favor? Okay, this is weird. He's never asked me for a favor before. I mean, he has, but he rarely does. And he asked me, he said, I'm going to give you $10 right now. I'll give you the money to buy it. And then if you can get it, you get $10 after that. And I was like, ooh. I was like, all right, what's this? I have to go to Gardner's or whatever, the chocolate candy store, the next morning when they first open up at 10 in the morning to get chocolate-covered strawberries for his fiancée, Bailey. And because he went that night and they were out. They said that they would have like walk-ins or whatever the next day, so they might have more. And so I go in the next day. I show up at 9:55, just 5 minutes before they open. And they opened a little bit early. Like I was in there and their sign for being open wasn't even on yet. And I walk in, there's a line for all the people who were smart enough to order their stuff, and then there were the buzzards, the other people that just like hovered, that just literally, one of me. I was one of them. And we hovered around like waiting for like somebody to just whisper the words. Chocolate-covered strawberries, you know? And so I'm just waiting, I'm looking around, and it's kind of awkward because I'm just in there for my brother. I'm like, this is hands in my pocket, like weird. And I go back towards this counter, and I see them prepping the already made stuff, like wrapping it up and getting it ready for the customers to come in and purchase them. And I whispered to the lady, I was like, hey, do you guys have any more chocolate covered strawberries? And she says, yeah, I think so. Let me look. So I follow her back towards this like little fridge. Meanwhile, there was this elderly woman, probably in her like late 60s. She was like hovering me, because she heard it too. So we both, I could see her out of the corner of my eye. We both kind of move in towards this woman, and she bags them up, and like she asked me how much I wanted. I said £1, because that's how much Brady wanted me to get. Yeah. So she puts the box in a bag, and then walks over to this guy that has no idea what's going on, like, and hands it to him. And he knows somebody wants to buy them, so he holds them up, and like as if somebody's going to give him money. I didn't know if they were the last ones or not. I was there for a job. I was a mission. I was SEAL Team 6 getting chocolate covered strawberries for my brother. So it's like I go in and I see him hold the bag out like for somebody to grab, and like give him money at the same time. And whenever I go to like give him my money, the woman, well, I handed it with this hand, but she was right here. And when she put her hand out, I like smacked it like really hard.
So now you look like a jerk.
So now I look like a jerk. Like,
hey,
I'm not even
just
kidding.
Getting what was his.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, I was there first. I asked. It was my chocolate covered strawberry. So I hand him the money, and I felt so like disgraced. Like I just beat up an elderly woman. That like, cause they have delicate skin, and I don't know, dude. I could. They do. When you get old, your skin gets like paper thin. But listen, I elbowed her, and I was like, crap. So I end up paying for him, and I just walk out with my head down.
You didn't apologize or anything.
She was like, she didn't even say anything. Like, if I would have turned around, I was too afraid. I beat up an elderly woman. I just got out of there. And then I tell Brady, and he's like, that's a lie. I'm like, no, I'm serious. And he's like, oh, okay. But that's a little bit of my Valentine's Day story. So you both went to IUP for communications media.
Yeah.
So I know what got me interested was when JP, your friend, the actor friend, came in and talked to us, and he kind of put it in perspective. Like, you can do something for the rest of your life that's really mundane and boring, and there's safety in it, or you can like go out on a branch and do something you're really interested in, and maybe you'll have success, or maybe not. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But I was willing to take the jump after the talk with him, just because I saw what he did, and I liked it, and gave me that motivation. So what gave you guys like your motivation to go down this career path?
I thought you were going to ask what was my motivation going to IUP.
You had a pulse?
Huh?
Oh no. Did I say that out loud?
No, actually, it was a sorority at Groundhog Day in 1996. But that's neither here nor there. And I'm not joking.
And that's when he found Megan.
Found something.
Found something. I don't know. I always liked movies and stories and stuff and imagination, and I liked light, which sounds really stupid.
Oh
but,
no,
you know,
I totally get you.
Like I even as a kid, I enjoyed seeing like a dark sky with like a bright, sharp light cutting across and stuff like that. And I got into plays in high school in 10th grade, and I got into video also in 10th grade, and the two just kind of eventually
into each other.
Yeah, went there.
I mean, for me, we always talk, when we get together and talk about this stuff, we always say, he's more film, I'm more TV. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And I think that's an important thing to talk about when you talk about communications, because there's literally I think when we were in school, they said like 560 different types of jobs.
Virtually anything.
So actually what got me into it, I was 12 years old watching Pittsburgh Penguins hockey, and Mike Lang was the TV play-by-play at the time. I started impersonating him. And when I would play my own games, I would impersonate, I'm 34 years old. I still do that, to be honest. My wife will tell you she makes fun of me, but it's fine. I can't help it. It's
she still commentates
I still commentate my own hockey games. I'm saying right here.
Here comes Garritano.
But my dream was, hey, I want to be a play-by-play sportscaster. And I got into school, started looking around at the different things, got involved in the TV studio, of course, and kind of learned about the lifestyle. Yeah. And the lifestyle is tough. I mean, you're always on the road. It pays well if you have the right job, but you're always on the road. And for me, my objective, my goals in life included having a family. So I knew right away that those two things weren't going to sync. So that's kind of how I got into, or decided to go into communications. But in high school, we had TV production classes that had just started in 1999, and I was a student there in 2000. So you know, I got into those production classes, and it kind of built that interest up. I really didn't know what else I wanted to do anyway, and it just kind of formed into going into comm media then. And then halfway through it, I decided to go to the education side of comm media, and I kind of more or less backed my way into where I'm at now, because I kind of went around it in a different path than what you usually do.
So what you guys?
What I did.
You guys like drive your
Pretty much.
You guys drive your covered wagons in at that time in your life? Like,
Well, you know what's kind of funny? I'm going to piggyback that about coming around the long way around. I was going to go to Vancouver.
Yes.
And my goal was always Vancouver, unless I found like the one and was going to have a family, because family was my priority as well. And I remember being a little older than our host here, thinking love was never going to find me. There's no hope. I had a bad relationship. What am I doing with my life? Oh God,
that's me right now.
is this all that there is going to be ever? What's the meaning of it all? Screw it, I'm going to Vancouver. And then I met my wife. And everything changed.
For the good, for the better.
For the better.
Yeah, for the
yes.
better. No, but
there's no lesson for Noah in me saying that at all.
No. Except he might end up bald.
Yeah.
No. So
not everybody can do this.
So now I kind of, before you ended up telling us that little last bit right there, I was kind of getting onto the question, added to that question, were you guys driving your covered wagons there? Like, I mean, were you guys like the first ones like from your school to really be like wanting to go down this?
As far as I know, yeah.
There was one other person that I specifically remember went into college for communications, and he actually does radio now. His name's Josh Woodison. And he graduated, I think, from Indiana in '99, but he is on local radio. Specifically, I know he works with a little bit with the Render Broadcasting Group out of Indiana now. So he was ahead of me as far as. I don't know anybody else that I went to high school with, either in the few years preceding me or while I was in high school, that went into this field specifically and then stayed in it. I mean, and then for me, you know, I still have aspirations of doing more within the field. I mean, I do video production stuff. I have my own like small video production company, which is very small, very much on the side. But I mean, we both kind of do that too. But you know, I still have the goals of you know, maybe ended up doing local radio stuff at some point in the future, or expanding it. You know, I'm always open to new opportunities. It's just a matter of whether or not they fit in my more than hectic lifestyle sometimes.
Yeah.
That's true. You guys both have your own families and things like that, houses and things to deal with. It's pretty intense. I'll be there one day. So, speaking of families and houses and things, inside of a house that I live in, I have a thing called Netflix.
Wow.
Wow, what a good segue.
Oh, wow.
What a great segue.
Wow. I'm shocked.
So do you guys have Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
We Netflix and chill together sometimes.
I know. I was there that one time.
Yeah.
We cuddled for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I hope it's just switching back and forth right now. This is us anyway.
Netflix started in my house. My wife got it first.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like started tag teaming off of her account to find different shows and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. You watching anything?
I'm sorry, that was just too easy, everything he just said.
You know what? You just need to rein it in.
Yes, let's bring it in.
Just rein it in.
Scene. Yeah, I enjoy the Netflix. I watched the most recent Netflix program I watched the whole way through is Mindhunter.
Great show, for real. I loved every second of it. Especially, I don't want to get into it too much, but the co-ed killer. I just thought every dialogue scene with him, just every delivery he had, just was spot on. Like,
it was funny,
chilling,
and welcoming, and terrifying.
Yeah,
at the same
and
time.
that's the thing. It made it so terrifying because it is so welcoming. Because he even made the main character. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he made him feel like they were friends almost, and it was.
And
like,
then he actually felt bad for him later whenever he betrays him.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, spoiler alert, by the way. But it's okay. It's not really that big of a spoiler. But so I watched two films recently. One that I really liked, one that I really recommend, and the other one's just a writing catastrophe that either 50% like or 50% hate. But I'll tell you the good one first. It's called The Ritual. I cannot remember. I should have wrote down the director's name. But it's about four guys who go to in the mountains in Sweden, and their friend had passed away, and they go and can't think of the word. They memorialize or whatever him by stacking stones and making a little shrine like out on the mountains in Sweden. And on the way back down the mountain, it's a 14-hour like trip or whatever that they took down the mountain. The one clumsy guy hurts his leg, so he can't really walk. So to cut down the trip back, the hike, they end up saying that they'll go through the woods. It'll cut it down to 7 hours. And when they get into the woods, there's some creepy Norse mythology type, Blair Witch done right, type stuff that happens. And I'll tell you what, I've never watched a film that was like quite like this, that just made me like on the edge of my seat, like actually scared for like some of the moments. The monster, the beast that you see, it is so well done and so like created and immersed into the actual film. Like just everything about it, like the way it kills you and the way it does things, it's just like, it's insane. And I definitely recommend it. It was good writing, good acting on everybody's account, and it was seriously creepy. But as for the second one that I didn't like, and I think we talked about this before, is the Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched it yet.
I hate it so much. It's like, I love J.J. Abrams. I love his production company, Bad Robot. I thought they do a lot of like good films and things like that. But for this, it was just like pathetic. Like, I mean, he didn't. I don't even know if he had a hand in writing it or just producing it. But it was just, the writing was like sloppy. It was like all the mistakes from the first and the second one that they had because of like in the first one, spoiler alert, it ends up the beast is awoken from the sea. And then in the second one, at the end, you see like this girl driving, and then thunderstorm, like lightning strikes, and it brightens the sky, and you see a mothership for like aliens and stuff. So it's like, how'd they really get there? Did they come in a mothership? Did they get awoken from the sea? And then in Paradox, they're like, hey, let's rewrite everything to make it usable. And they write so it's like multiple dimensions things are happening in, which is like the sloppiest writing, like to correct everything. Like if you have a problem with any part of the continuity between any of the films, they just go, oh, it happened in another universe, in another dimension, somewhere else. It didn't actually happen there, you know.
Funny, the X-Files just adopted a very similar
oh, really?
approach with their
Hopefully it's better approach.
Yeah, I wish that it just went better, like in general. But what keeps me hopeful is the new movies coming out in 2018.
Yeah.
So I wrote down a couple that are coming out. Deadpool 2. If you didn't see the trailer, did you see the new trailer?
I didn't see the new trailer.
It is so
I've had no life
funny.
this week whatsoever.
It is so funny. I'm just gonna tell you one little piece of it. You see, it's all about Cable, like the introduction of Cable, and you know he has his metal arm and stuff like that. Well, by the way of how Deadpool is just in general, he comes out Cable with a gun, and it's like a real serious moment, but they still have the green screen sleeve on him. They haven't done the video effects work on him and stuff, or the visual effects. And Deadpool stops it. He's like, whoa, 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 like, where's his metal? And then just after that, just hilarious. I thought it was like a really good marketing. I think their whole marketing, like with the Bob Ross or whatever thing, I just thought that was so funny. It was so funny, and I could not watch it near my dad. It was awkward. If you've seen it, you'll understand. But now here's something. The Studio A24. Have you guys heard of any of the movies that they've come out with? They've come out with It Comes at Night.
Oh, okay.
And things like that, like other movies. I can't think of another one to name right now, and I know more of them. They're coming out with a new movie. Now this one I saw on Instagram at first. I thought it was really cool. It was a picture of like a dollhouse, like opened up.
Oh, and it goes into the room.
And it goes into the rooms, and then it like goes through like with real scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was creepy. Like somebody set on fire at one point. Like, like I was like, what? And the one thing that gets me is the kid. I can't remember his name. He's from show I used to watch whenever I was really little on Nickelodeon, the Naked Brothers Band. I don't know if you ever heard of it. But one of the kids from that band, because they were brothers, he's now an actor. He's been in on Netflix. I cannot think about it. Death Note. There it is. Okay. The Death Note. And it's like it was an anime and then made into a live action movie. And he was awful in that one. I didn't like it. So I'm afraid of this one. But it made me laugh because the very first scene, he's sitting there at his desk. He's like spaced out. And then he just bashes his face off the desk. And then he freaks out. He's like, ooh, like crawling backwards. Just like his face. If you pause it, it is like the perfect face if you're having a bad day and you just want to make yourself feel better. But that was something. Now this one, I know you'll know a lot about it versus me. I still can't get over the title. I think it's horrendous. It's Solo, a Star Wars story. I know you're excited for it, though.
Yeah. I'm excited in a cautiously optimistic kind of way. I will say I feel better about it having seen the trailer.
Yeah.
I agree. Terrible title.
Yeah.
I also didn't think The Last Jedi was a good title either. But Solo's definitely way worse.
Oh, for sure.
But I have a little bit of faith. I have faith in Ron Howard. Even though all of the behind-the-scenes shake-up, Kathleen Kennedy has delivered 3 for 3, in my opinion. You know, so even if this ends up being a misstep, I don't think it's going to be a catastrophe.
No.
Misstep, you know. And after getting a look at Ellen, I'm having a brain fart.
Page?
No, the kid that's playing the new Han Solo.
Oh, I have no idea what his name is.
Shit, it'll come to me later. But after now actually seeing him, I can see it. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, this is literally, I'm going to say this into the camera. Don't mark my words on this one. But I heard that he had to have a acting coach.
I've heard the same thing.
And that might be a rumor, and I don't want to spread it if it is.
Well, you know, if it does end up being true, then it's only going to benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it is true to have somebody on set that will.
When I hear acting coach, I don't think it's because of his ability. He's an accomplished, young but already accomplished actor. I'm thinking it's more in the mannerisms of Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I get that.
Solo,
like, it is hard. Like, Harrison Ford, if you would just watch, I mean, any movie Harrison Ford's in, and he's like the rugged, you know, like, go get him, bad, like, tough guy. And, like, Han Solo is the same way. But it's just like, even in Indiana Jones, just like, his mannerisms, like anybody's mannerisms, it's like hard to copy those or get that perfect.
He's unique.
And Han Solo is such a unique character that I'm sure that's why they had the acting coach, like you said, to get him to be and feel like Han Solo, not just say I'm Han Solo.
Right.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying there. Now, the next one that I thought was really cool, A Quiet Place, which is John, starts with the K. He was the dude off of The Office who dated that girl, Jim or whatever.
Jim.
Yeah. It starts with a K. I think it's like Krasinski.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Yeah, and it's a good look. Like, he directed it and acted in it. But he, like, from the trailers, it looks good. Like, they have to be super, like, silent, so they talk in sign language to each other. That was my horrible rendition. It right there. But
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I won't do it. I'm probably saying bad words or something.
Yeah.
But there was like they have the floorboards painted where it doesn't creak, so you know where to step. It's just like, it's creepy and it's crazy, and I'm excited to see it. They just put out the new trailer. You see, like, one of the monster's hands just like hit the wall, like, behind her, or Emily Blunt's character. And it is just like these long fingers. Like, it looks creepy. I hope it's not like Signs, where like you see it for a second, you see the alien, and then you see it at the end, and you're just like,
throw water on it.
Yeah, quick.
We're gonna invade a planet.
That's
water.
90% water. Yeah. I mean, somebody tried to like make that actually sound better than it really was to me. I was like, nah, there's no way around that. M. Night Shyamalan.
I enjoyed Signs when it first came out, but it has not withstood the test of time.
Never.
Sixth Sense has withstood the sense of time. Signs has not.
Yeah.
So now, here's a quick question for you. And this is movie related. And this is probably my favorite question I'll ask you. If you could have one prop from any movie, and it held the same power that it did in the movie in our real world, what prop would that be?
Luke's lightsaber, Return of the Jedi.
I knew you were going to say that.
The green one. Like, to be specific,
Listen, the
green one.
lightsaber is such an obvious
Yeah.
choice, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like my very first thought is that's got to be it.
Yeah.
Then
The green one.
then I started thinking about it, and it's like, okay, for me, I was a huge Ghostbusters guy.
Yeah.
So you get into the proton pack thing, that a nuclear accelerator,
An unlicensed nuclear
an
accelerator.
unlicensed nuclear accelerator, and I mean, it's not just you're trapping ghosts. If ghosts don't exist, the thing still sets everything
It's
on
awesome.
fire.
Yeah.
The only thing for me that's gonna beat that out, if you consider it a prop, and technically it's a movie prop, is the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
You know what? I thought about that for mine, being the DeLorean, but you know which one I'm going to pick? I just think it'd be cool to have the Ark of the Covenant.
You know, I was thinking
Straight
that in the back
up
of my head
the Ark
just
of the
now.
Covenant, like everybody.
Yeah.
You know
Like-
what? You know what?
I'll be like, hey, Dawn,
You have to
I have a
no,
boner
no.
for you.
Keep your eyes shut.
Yeah, I'll just...
Hey guys, I got you a piece of candy. Would you like a piece of candy?
It's like your Jolly Rancher. It's like your Jolly Rancher thing that you have back here. Imagine if you had the Ark of the Covenant and you had that one kid who's like, "Can I have a Jolly Rancher?" You're like,
Yes.
"Yeah, you can actually have
Yeah,
one."
you actually.
Look at it, class!
Just
Look away!
face melts. I actually watched how they did the face melting thing.
Oh, it's
I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. They just sped it up. I mean,
Yeah.
like melting it, but it was just like the layers of stuff that they use and things like that. I
Wax.
thought it was cool. I thought it was definitely cool. So now here's a question. Now,
As if we haven't been asked one yet.
now here's one question.
Again?
Yeah, this
Oh,
whole
wow.
thing, this whole thing. But here's a really good question.
Oh, okay.
This one's a super spicy meme. It is, who was your first celebrity crush growing up?
Winnie Cooper,
And
The Wonder
why?
Years.
The
Winnie Cooper from the Wonder Years.
what? No,
I think you got to go. Let's
Yeah.
eliminate the why part, because if they're your
Yeah.
celebrity crush, you know.
Oh yeah,
why.
you know
know
why.
why.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
like them. Yeah, never mind.
Winnie Cooper was there. I mean, the Wonder Years almost, not quite, but almost predates me. I
Yeah,
mean, we're
there's
not
like
that far apart.
we're
but-
not that far apart, but that's like a gray area. Between
Yeah, it
us and
is,
Wonder Years.
because
it's
it's-
all me and kind of sort of you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because it, you know, like a couple of years is enough, based on what you're into, you know, age-wise. So for me, actually, and I had to think about this for a second, but I think the first one has to be Melissa Joan Hart from Clarissa Explains It All.
You know what's funny?
Way back.
Yeah, I know that show.
All
dude.
right. So I mean that, and that I remember when I was in elementary school. I think I was and it was like 1992. All right. So I was like in second or third grade.
I hate my life.
And we got, yeah, it's okay. We got to
that
go.
animation.
My parents took me to Disney. My dad was there for, you know, work-related stuff, so we got to go to Disney. We got to go to the set, and I
Yeah.
remember being so excited. It's like, oh, this is so cool. I'm gonna get to meet her now. And it's like, well, that didn't
And
happen.
then
I'm
she
gonna
wasn't
confess my
there.
love.
But the set was kind of cool. I mean, you think about Hollywood sets now; they're basically a huge laid-out space, but they put all
yeah.
their scenes take place in those areas. They
Yeah.
just adapt them. This was literally a live audience that sat up like anything else, but down in the studio was this whole grid of rooms
Oh my gosh.
laid out. I mean, it looked like a giant like dollhouse if you took the layers apart and
Yeah.
could see the individual rooms. So I remember there's almost like a giant rat maze.
That's
so it's kind of
insane.
cool.
Like
but-
the one over the head shot from Steven Spielberg's Minority Report.
yes,
Yes.
very much like
No.
that.
Yes.
I actually didn't like that movie.
No, J.J. Abrams is a better Steven Spielberg.
You're darn right. No, actually, I do like Steven Spielberg as one of my favorite directors. But if I had to say one of my crushes, like one of my first crushes, you know what? We talked about this before we sat down.
Right.
But if I actually think back, I think it was the actress, I can't remember her name, who played DJ Tanner.
Oh,
Candace
DJ.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Candace
Yeah,
Cameron
Candace
Bure.
Cameron. I'll tell you
You
what.
can still see her on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
And you
she's
can see her on Fuller House.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know
Fuller
what?
House.
I didn't have a crush on her back in the day because I didn't like Full House.
Yeah.
I enjoy me some Fuller House.
Yeah.
You just went,
That's all I'm going to say about
I
it.
specifically just watched the scenes with her in it.
Yeah,
But
I mean-
I would say I think she was my first crush,
Yeah.
and then it developed into Emma Watson, and then that developed into Jennifer Aniston. So,
Well, everyone.
Oh,
yeah,
everyone had a
Jennifer
crush on
Aniston.
Jennifer
Yeah.
Aniston.
I mean, put her up there with, back in the day, Jessica Biel even.
Oh,
you see the movie Summer
Jessica,
Catch?
Yes.
You ever see Summer Catch? It's a baseball movie. There's not a lot of depth to it.
Yeah,
because
I watch good movies.
Go about halfway through. She's
like two good ones.
She's been in a couple. Hey, she's married to Justin Timberlake. Give her some credit. All right?
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
Just because the dude's a better actor.
Actually, did you guys see the meme of Justin Timberlake?
The what?
The meme that sprouted from that kid on his cell phone.
No.
He was singing, and he goes up to a little kid, like a kid in the audience, and he takes a selfie with him.
Yeah.
And he stands there awkwardly as Justin Timberlake just still stands there singing.
Their whole story came out about that afterwards because it was during halftime of the Super Bowl.
See, I've literally had no life because of Wish for Giants.
The kid was trying to get on. The kid was trying to get on and take a selfie with them, and then he's trying to get it to upload to social media. Well, the whole time is very awkward because this kid's on his phone.
Yeah, he's like,
Justin Timberlake's like, dude, are you gonna interact with me? I'm Justin Timberlake. He's standing beside and here are two probably teenage, maybe 20-year-old girls right behind him, like just drooling and like. Take 2 steps back. We'll love you.
Well, the thing is, too, I saw one of the memes that I thought was hilarious about it was it goes with a picture of him looking at his phone, and then it goes to what his phone would have, which is a Google search for who is Justin Timberlake. I was like, come on. Like,
yeah, that's a good one.
Of all people to stand next to, like, no offense to Justin Timberlake, your audience is now older. Like, you're not really hitting it with the younger kids nowadays as much.
That's just a generational thing. Yeah. Kids being on their phones like that. That's just how they are now. It wouldn't matter. I don't think anybody. That's the first thing they're going to think of. Get the phone out, take the picture, post it on social media.
I don't know. I'm just not a. Timberlake has freaked me out since I met him one time and he was carrying a gift and he started talking to me with his hands and the gift did not move.
I know what you're talking about.
I do too. It's a good skit.
It's a blank in a box.
Yeah, it's a very good skit. Solid.
I was like, where's he going?
I had to think about it too. I knew exactly where you had that.
Well, no. After you said, and he took his hands away and it stayed there, I was like, ding, ding, ding. I know now. Okay, so here's a quick question. Okay, so franchise films. Will they ever end? Like if we look at Marvel and Star Wars,
they'll be recycled. I think that Marvel may be the first one that literally never ends. But I think we're at a place now where, at the least, they'll hibernate for 10.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 15 years.
It's like with everything.
It's a matter of time till we don't get a Back to the Future sequel, but a reboot.
Oh my gosh.
Right. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. Well, my thing is too. I just watched a video the other day about George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead and all the zombie films that he made because he had passed away. And I mean, we're pretty close to the Monroeville Mall. I mean, we're not pretty close, but no, it's not far to drive.
Right. Yeah.
And like just like I was watching about that. Like I knew he filmed like there and stuff like that, and that's where it was like set. But it's like the narrator for the video, the guy who actually uploaded it, he even said it's just almost time for zombies to go out the door for like 10 years and then come back just because we're so overloaded with zombies.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the 80s slasher movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's part to do though with it's mainstream media though. It's the way it works. It's hot. The industry's going to take advantage of it while the iron is hot. They're going to strike while the iron's still hot. They're going to flood the market with it while it's still making money. When it stops making money, it'll hibernate and go back.
Compare it to video games, basically. It's safe. Yeah. It's a known brand that makes money.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it doesn't come back as big as the original run of it did, it's still not going to lose money. You know, and that's where we are franchise films. Yeah. Same thing like the annual Call of Duty or what, you know.
Oh, yeah.
There's always going to, think about this, even if they don't, like, whether or not we could debate forever whether or not they should or shouldn't take a storyline with a movie.
Right.
But with these movies, there's always going to be another angle or another avenue or a different plot line or storyline or person they can develop. Like when they developed out of the X-Men series and they gave, oh my goodness, Wolverine his own, and it's like I never watched that, but my cousin who is I mean this lovingly, as big a comic book nerd as you're ever going to find. And I mean that. You thought I was crazy 34 years old or whatever, made that comment earlier. He's in his 40s, and his basement has scale models that he makes and paints of different figures, and they will be characters you've never heard of.
Yeah.
When he tells me that a movie really isn't all that great like that, then I know I really don't need to waste my time.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah.
So.
I mean, I actually just watched Logan for the first time like a week ago, and
I haven't seen it yet.
I'll say this right now: grab a tissue box.
Oh, I'm sure.
I have never actually watched a Wolverine film that I liked until this one, and this one just nailed it. They should have just stuck with rated R from the get-go, because it really opened up to a whole another story arc that they can actually go to rather than play it safe for kids.
Which is the case in point with these franchises.
But it is one that is I loved Logan. I loved the last film.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
And people whose opinion I trust.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, I'm supposed to watch it now in black and white, David says.
See, now, here's the problem with that, though. It's like sometimes those movies, the second or third comings of those franchises they branch out into end up being better than the original one. That's not always the case. But then I get into things like, well, crap, now I got to watch the ones before that so I can watch that
figure it
one.
all out.
I'm
Harry
4
Potter.
movies behind in Star Wars right now, okay, because I missed one. I was like, there's no point in trying to watch this until I've seen these other ones. And
I
maybe
feel that
one
way
day
about
in
the
my life-
mainstream X-Men films, actually.
Yeah.
The second X-Men film was an incredible movie. 1 and 3, not necessarily all that
without it.
good, but
Yeah.
First Class, freaking phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Now they're back to Marvel, but now Disney has them.
We shall see.
It's a sad day. Let's say our prayers for Disney with the X-Men. So now we're running out of time, so I'm gonna ask you guys these last two questions real quick. But if you could make a short film or video in one setting, where would you film? There's no limitations, no rules.
I have one in mind if you want to think
Yeah,
about
go
it.
ahead. I need to.
Venice, Italy.
Yeah.
And my inspiration from that actually comes from The Italian Job, which, again, there's not a ton. I like movies with depth. There's not a ton of depth in that movie, but I love the movie. I thought it was really well done, in my personal opinion. But there's so much in that area. You know, there's so many different kinds. There's culture. There's arts. There's, you know, you have the waterways that are right there. It's just, and I was fortunate enough to visit Italy in the mid '90s. So with my family, so I know what the culture is like in different areas. We didn't make it to Venice. I would have loved to, but I picked that because I think that it would be a great area with a lot of possibilities, and also because I really want to be able to visit one day. So, I mean, I'm not going to be a feature filmmaker, probably not even a short filmmaker, but that would be a really good excuse to spend 10 grand or whatever it's going to cost to go there. But
So I got some specific ones popping head, but they're in the realms of possibilities. So, in anything's open. What came to mind? French catacombs.
That would actually be really creepy.
To just have like the total absolute run of the place. I just think I don't even know what I'd do, but just give me some people and a day or two, and I'll come out with something.
That seems like the perfect setting for your genre.
Right up my alley.
See, not like for me, it was really hard. Like I really thought about it, and I still haven't come to a full decision. Like I would like to go to Greece just because there's almost the same reason you want to go to Italy, but it's like that's a good idea. But my other one was Area 51.
My secondary one is the Vatican.
It's just one of those things. It's like I want to go to Area 51 because nobody's been in there with a camera and documented anything that we can see in the public. And there's no rules and no limitations. Well, there's something back here. It doesn't have to be like aliens, but there is buildings.
That'd be spare airplane parts.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, so it's I would just like to go back here. I just with a camera and document stuff. I just think it would be pretty neat. So that'd be my place. So now, off the top of your head, 3 must-watch movie recommendations and 3 must-watch TV recommendations.
Well, I'm going to go with The Last Jedi. I know it's kind of torn the fan base, but I'm on the love side. Yeah. I really am. And I can see where some of the haters come from, but I maintain that once 9 comes out, everything in 8 will
Makes sense.
and fall into place.
Except for Luke drinking
All right,
that milk.
People haven't seen it. Stop it.
yeah.
No, it's a meme. People have seen it. It's on the internet.
Well, see, I can't even understand the meme.
He drinks like this alien's milk or whatever.
Alien cow milk.
It's so weird. Like, I mean, I did think it was funny.
Yeah, but
though.
it's funny the way
His
he looks
face,
at
he's like, yeah.
So definitely The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Probably A Wish for Giants. No.
Hey,
I really haven't slept. You
Thirty
guys
reviews
need to
of
understand
3.5
this.
out
I
of
have
5
not
stars.
slept in days, hardly. Saturday needs to come here and pass. So yeah, definitely The Last Jedi would be one of my must-watch. If it doesn't have to be current, I think The Godfather is a film for the
that's a
ages.
solid choice.
And I think that Jaws is a film for the ages.
Yeah. Oh, for
you,
sure.
You have to understand though, like if you're telling people that did not watch that, didn't grow up around the time period that came out, people now are like kids now would watch. I'd be like, what is this crap? There's a lot of artisticness in
for
that
sure.
movie.
I use
but
Jaws
it's great.
in the TV, in the production classes,
Yeah.
and the kids actually generally like it.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
But it's just there's so much.
So
I look
much.
at that movie differently just from your classes now because there's so much there.
Yeah.
It's so much deeper than just your basic sci-fi-ish type horror theory, type of a
big
film.
budget monster of the week.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going all old on this because for me, there's a couple of things that make a movie a must-watch: depth and layers to peel back, things to actually think about after they happen or while you're watching it, or that you don't catch until you've watched it again. So one of my all-time favorite movies is The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's great.
All right, Frank Darabont did an amazing job with that movie.
It's trending right now on Netflix.
Is it? See,
Yeah,
there you
it
go.
still is,
and
always.
it's not that old, but it's just a fantastic movie. Andy Dufresne. And it kind of goes like, okay, Morgan Freeman's in that if you haven't seen the movie Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
He's another one of those people you're talking about, Harrison Ford.
Yeah. There's only one.
Those characters, or those people are so good at getting into the characters that they're portraying.
Yeah.
That's what makes them unique.
Yeah.
And his character, both him and Andy Dufresne's main, I can't think of his name. Tim Robbins, yeah. Do a great job. So that's got to be up there.
I will say, before you finish your next film, my favorite scene from The Shawshank, when he breaks in the warden's office, kicks up his feet on the desk, and starts playing the music.
Plays the right, it's just like, you know what, I'm taking this one either way, so I'm gonna get my money's worth out of it. The other ones, real quick, for me, are going to be Forrest Gump,
Classic.
and for obvious reasons, and Remember the Titans.
Oh yeah.
Now, Remember the Titans that's just a completely different story. For me, I like the idea of when you can broach the topic of segregation and make it a positive, uniformed outcome when people work together. Because that's still a problem in today's society.
Oh,
That movie is going to span generations.
Not to take anything away from Remember the Titans, but it's interesting. Your first two are what in the ballpark of what you'd expect someone to say. And Remember the Titans is an amazing movie, but not necessarily one. And that made me think of what one of mine might be, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
With Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not to take anything away from them. It's just when someone lists like all-time great, you expect like Shawshank or Forrest Gump or Godfather. You know what I mean? That's an interesting choice.
And we could list.
I could keep
many
going.
great movies, and we could spend 3 hours talking about why they're great. As far as TV goes, it just depends on what you're into.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into the basic drama, then I don't think you get a whole lot better on TV than anything that Dick Wolf writes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, plus he has this amazing ability to cross over all of his shows. I mean, he has like 4 or 5 different shows.
It's the
on TV
original
right now.
cinematic universe.
Yeah, I mean, it's
TV,
amazing. So there's that. I've fallen behind on it now. The Blacklist is really good. And
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
the other thing, and it depends on what you're into, but I've been really into documentary style series lately. And Discovery Channel has a handful of them. I mean, you have your ones that I follow, like Gold Rush and Deadliest Catch, but Tesla's Death Ray Declassified.
I just saw that.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I got hooked on it one night. It was the pilot episode. I'm like, this is really interesting because he he really has his thumbprint on pretty much everything that technology is now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a really interesting documentary if you're looking for something more that way. And then if you're just looking for something simple, funny, shows a little bit of the side of the industry that, you know, more he's involved in than me. But Entourage.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a quick watch. It's 8 seasons
it's definitely
long,
a guy, more of a guy.
It is.
Short show.
It is. And it was designed to be that way. And they
Yeah.
don't hide from that.
For
They
sure.
tell you right
The best
up.
episode has Bob Saget in it. I'm just going to throw that
There's a
out.
couple. Yeah, there's a couple.
There's one I have in my mind.
But
that's pretty good.
I'll throw mine out real quick. The X-Files, Penny Dreadful, and Game of Thrones, Noah.
Yeah, I don't like Game of Thrones.
I don't like you.
I don't like you either.
All right. And
No one likes Noah.
my guilty pleasure trash show, Ancient Aliens.
Yeah. No, actually,
I could waste my life watching
A
that
Wish
show.
for Giants. We spent that night filming or whatever, going with our last 2 days. He goes, okay, I'll be in my room watching Ancient Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Until I fall asleep. I was like, okay. I was like, all right.
I'll be out here watching.
I needed to shut my brain off so I could watch Ancient
Now,
Aliens.
if I had to tell you my 3 movie recommendations, like, there's so many. I have switched up what I've told you guys I had so many times. If I had to go with, like, horror genre, I would go with, obviously, John Carpenter's The Thing. Super amazing practical gore and just, in general, a great story that leaves you pondering at the end, like, is that the thing? Or, you know? It leaves you just with a sense of dread, not a happy ending.
All right.
Then you get It Follows, which is a new horror film that came out that had me paranoid after I watched it.
That was
I
creepy.
was freaked out.
Creepy.
Anybody wears white, well, I've never seen anybody out in public naked, but if I did, then I would really be freaked out. I'd be like, it's coming for me.
That's a perfect example of high concept, low budget.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. Like it's good for
It's good.
like for a producer, you jump on that and like make sure it's good. But I will say, in the line of practical effects, again, it's a new one. It's on Netflix. It's called The Void.
I've
watched
seen it on there, but I
it's
haven't
all
watched it.
practical effects, like monster effects. It's so good. It kind of gives me a reminder of the movie Slither, and met John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
Like it is weird. It is cool. The effects, the monsters, like everything just looks awesome, and just everything. Real quick, the TV shows. If you count Netflix TV shows as TV shows.
It's
But,
where we're going. It's where it's
going.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So Stranger Things,
I'll love it.
Breaking Bad.
Love it.
Then what was my third one?
Oh, Game of Thrones.
No, it definitely wasn't Game of Thrones. I knew that.
House of Cards.
No, no. I actually watched like a couple episodes
Orange is
of
the
that.
New
and I didn't
Black.
like it.
Orange is
No.
the New Black's
That's
funny.
good.
What
I like
is it?
Yeah.
It's Stranger Things. It's Elmo, Sesame Street. That's I don't know.
Listen,
it
since
doesn't
you got,
matter.
like,
Apparently, it's not a good enough recommendation for me to even remember.
I got to
recommend
throw
it.
one more movie
Yeah.
out there just because I happen to think about it. In the spirit of A Wish for Giants, true independent, $25,000 budget, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But independents can range up to the low millions or
yeah.
whatever because production companies have their own independent divisions. Slumdog Millionaire,
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Well, the
great
guy-
movie. It's almost like it was one of those movies that just took down the house at the Academy Awards. But when it got there, it was one of those movies that the great majority of people watching the award show probably had no idea, never heard of it before that night because it was
like one
filmed
of
out
the-
of India. And
Yeah.
it's just
Few
Lion.
movies that came out of nowhere.
Lion that
Yeah.
just came out. You guys hear about that? Lion, the guy finds his parents using Google Earth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that kid or the guy, I might be wrong, but I think the main guy from Lion is actually the main kid from Slumdog Millionaire, the same actor.
okay. Yeah, it could have been.
Like the same actor, not the same kid. I'm not really sure. I know it was tied to something. But anyway, real quick because we're running out of time. I'm gonna let you guys look into that camera right there that's on you, and plug whatever business, whatever thing you guys got going on. That you said you have a side business. I know you do. It's CG Productions, right?
Yeah, CG Video Productions. I do wedding videography, event videography. Kind of a one-man band unless I need to bring in people that I know to help me out with the project. But it's small. You can find me cgvideoproductions.com. Facebook page. You can look me up by the same name that way as well. So local, it's mostly Indiana County, some into Cambria and Armstrong County if needed. So
Hi. Are you tired of being alone at night? Do you long for the warmth and comfort of a strong, burly man.
I see these commercials.
Do you experience dreads in the floor in your attic or basement?
Oh, wait, and where'd the camera go? All right. Dang it, Joey. All right, so Spruce Films, sprucefilms.com. I also do videography and junk, pretty much a one-man band. But when I get into the independent film stuff, I bring on other people, such as these two and several others, including Joey Chrisman, who's running our switcher right now, the amazing David Damrath, the much more amazing Corey Heika, and the adequately okay Haley Woodside, and several others. Sprucefilms.com for all your spruce needs.
All right. So, Joey, if you want to come to my camera, thank you. I'll plug what I have. If you guys are on this channel already, you know Generic House is my YouTube channel. You guys will see more Please Welcomes here on this channel with more guests. Maybe even seeing these two back eventually to talk about some other stuff. This was horrible. This was a horrible first episode.
This has been awful.
You know what? Someone's got to break the seal, and we helped you get there.
Yeah.
So we'll come back more polished next time.
Oh my God.
But I will say,
You were his first.
you'll always be my first. Okay. Anyway, you can follow me.
You
can find me on Instagram at NPC Photography. We paid at NPC Photography on Instagram. And that's it for our first episode of Please Welcome. Thank you for joining us, and join us next time when we actually have a legitimate outro.
Go see a Wish for Giants.